Hey, and welcome to Vegan Steven's Food for All, where I show you the foods I cook in my vegan kitchen, and you should try them too, because it's good for you, your kids, their kids, and the earth. Today I want to show you how I make cast iron pizza. There's common misconceptions out there about vegan food that it's always healthy, expensive, or is just a bunch of salads. Those things can sometimes be true, but this dish smashes those misconceptions. It's indulgent, convenient, and thrifty if you're on a budget, and it's pizza. Let's get started. This dish starts with pizza dough. You could make this stuff from scratch, but I took the more convenient route and picked some up from my grocery store for about $1. Remove your dough from the refrigerator and place it beside your oven. Preheat your oven to the highest temperature it goes. For me, that's 550. Preheating now will ensure that the oven's ripping hot and ready to go when our pizza's ready to go in. Mind you, the dough is to the side of the oven, so as the oven preheats, the dough will come to room temperature. This will allow us to more easily shape the dough when we're ready. Place your cast iron pan on a medium-low burner. This way the bottom of the pan will heat up, and when we drop our pizza dough in, the dough will immediately start to form a crisp crust. Quick break for some Kendrick. That's the stuff. Now our toppings. First, white button mushrooms. I ended up running out of time and not using these, so I'm not going to talk about them now. On to toppings we're actually going to use. First, zucchini. This is going to add a nice green color, and as it cooks in the oven, it will char around the edges and look really appealing. I gotta say, this is a beautiful zucchini. Next up, tomato. The acidity from the tomato is going to cut through the cheese and make everything taste better. 1 shallot for its beautiful purple color and mild oniony flavor, and some sun-dried tomatoes. I keep these in the fridge. They're packed in oil so they last for a really long time, and they're great to throw in all sorts of things, including this pizza. Now there's tons of vegan cheese substitutes out there. Today I'm using Follow Your Heart dairy-free mozzarella shreds. I can comfortably recommend this brand. I've used it multiple times and it duplicates the meltiness of mozzarella pretty well and ends up with a tasty final product. And finally, some pizza sauce from Trader Joe's. As with most Trader Joe's products, this stuff's great. I bought it a few weeks ago for only $3. I've used it in a couple of different dishes and it's really good. Sponsor me. Let's prep. First, our shallot. Slice off the non-root end of the shallot, half it, then remove the peel and set into the stockpile. Now I'm not going to use this whole shallot, so I'm going to use the prettier half for my pizza. You can see here the side on the left is prettier than the side on the right, so I'm going to go with it. Oh my goodness. Slice down through the shallot into slices about 1/8 of an inch wide. Take your time cutting these slices so they cook evenly and look uniform. Take your scrap, cut the root off, and put the rest into your stockpile. Next up, zucchini. First behead it. The top of this zucchini was narrow enough for me to just make thin slices. If it were thicker, I might have halved it first and then made slices. Again, take your time slicing these. You want them to be uniform so they look good and cook evenly. I'll store the remaining zucchini in a to-go container for later use. I'm cutting the tomato last because of the water content. If I prepped this first, it would get water all over my board and the remainder of my prep would be a mess. Be sure to stare at your tomato for a while like it's your arch nemesis before deciding exactly which direction you want to slice it in. Now cut down 1/4 inch slices so they're ready for the pizza. After you've done that, look at them a little bit more and realize the core of this tomato is looking a little mealy, so remove that and discard it. And hey, look at all the water on my cutting board now. Now place those toppings to the side until your dough is ready to go. Scrap yard to the scrap bag. Flip your cutting board to the dry side to shape your dough. And hey look, Settlers of Catan. Next we're going to mix together some ingredients that will help us more easily shape our dough and achieve a nice golden crust. First we have all-purpose flour. This will be our base and it will create a barrier between our hands, the cutting board, and the sticky dough. Next is cornmeal. It's coarser than the flour and will provide crunch to our final product. Last is granulated sugar. The sugar will brown when heated in the oven, thus giving us a golden crust. Go into your mixing bowl with 2 heavy tablespoons of all-purpose flour, about a half tablespoon of cornmeal, and sprinkle in 1 teaspoon of sugar with your chef hand. Mix that up and we're ready for our dough. Wait, where's the dough? Oh gosh, there it is. Slice that open with your knife so you look cool. Sprinkle the board with a good pinch of that mixture. Massage it around into a circle. Plop your dough down. Punch it down into a very rough circle. Then flip it over to flour both sides. Now it's time for the tricky part, shaping our dough. The first thing I like to do is lift the dough from each edge and let gravity sort of stretch the dough down towards the board, rotating the dough to ensure semi-even stretching. Once you've got a decent circle, begin shaping your dough by punching the tips of your fingers along the edges, rotating and occasionally lifting to stretch the dough into that circular shape. If your fingers get a bit sticky, tap them in the flour and that should help. Towards the end, I like to start using this rolling knuckle technique that I made up, but it works and it helps the dough stretch from inside to out. Now this is a bit tricky. I've made quite a few pizzas, so I'm decent at this. If your first try doesn't go so well, that's totally fine. Go with it anyway. Your crust might look a bit weird, but your pizza should still taste great. Like with all things in cooking and in life, you'll improve with time and practice. Here's my final crust. You can see it's not a perfect circle, it's a little oblong in the top right corner, but that's fine with me. Slide your dough over and bring in your preheated cast iron pan. Sprinkle a bit of your flour mix on your cast iron. Spread it around carefully, the pan is hot. Use a little bit less than I did. Now with confidence, lift your dough up and place it quickly into your cast iron. Pat your dough down to nestle it into the pan and let it know that it's loved unconditionally. Press the edges of the dough against the edges of the pan with your fingers and knuckles to create a thicker outer crust. Flour your fingers as needed to prevent stickage. Done with that, looking pretty good. Now the fun part, loading our pizza up with our toppings. First I'm going to salt the crust. I heard someone smart say to do this sometime, so I'm going to do it as well. Now in with a few spoonfuls of our sauce. We're looking for a thin, even coat around our dough. Don't add too much sauce because that'll sog out your crust. Next up, our cheese. Kind of like our sauce, we're looking for a nice even layer. And heck, dump the whole bag on there. Now for our veggies. Evenly distribute your zucchini around your pie, making things look pretty. Fill in the gaps of the zucchini with your sliced shallot. Next, in with our sliced tomato, again making things look pretty. And lastly, the sun-dried tomatoes. In the future, I'd probably chop these up into smaller bits so they could be distributed more evenly. I'd also add them later on in the cooking process, so maybe put my pizza in the oven for 8 minutes or so, then pull it out, add the sun-dried tomatoes, and finish the pizza for a few more minutes. Light drizzle of olive oil on top, and then a healthy drizzle of olive oil around the edges of the pie. This is going to give us a really, really deep brown crust along the sides and underneath. Take your pizza over to your preheated oven. Open the oven and place your pizza inside as quickly as possible to avoid losing too much heat from your oven. Here's my attempt at an action shot. In total, I left mine in for about 12 minutes, then placed my oven on broil for about 2 minutes until the pizza looked like this. I'm checking for cooked vegetables, melted cheese, and browned crust. Next, take the biggest 2 spatulas you have and remove your pizza from the pan. Take a listen to this crust. Oh yeah. Here's our crispy golden crust. Slice up your pie and serve it with some red pepper flake, oregano, or whatever else you like to throw on top of your slice. And that's it. I hope you'll try this at home. Total cost comes in at about $5. Time from start to finish is about a half hour, and it's so delicious. Thanks, and be sure to subscribe below for more cooking videos.
I killed a fruit fly.